So, well, let's get this meeting started. If you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Alrighty, so to start off our meeting today, we have an appointment at 5:35 with Waste Management that we had agreed to. I'm going to start it a little bit early if no one minds, because we have a 2-hour commute in front of us to go home. So if you gentlemen would like to come up a little bit closer, you can sit in the first row if you'd like.
Sure.
There you go. That way the camera can get you. You're good, Mike. Would you like to introduce yourself? I've already met you, but our board members?
My name is Boyd Moyer. I'm the public sector representative for the town of Granby. I manage the Granby contract. This is Matt Hill. He's the district manager. He oversees the operation from the route manager, the drivers, everybody in the operation. We report to Matt.
Nice to meet both of you. How you spell your last name?
Boyer, B-O-Y-E-R.
Okay. I'll let that one.
Oh, yeah. I'll leave cards.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
So the reason that we had asked you to come today was because we are getting numerous complaints about the service that we are getting from Waste Management, and we're trying to figure out a solution.
Okay.
I know it's not a surprise, because I know that there has been an email chain that has gone.
Chris is kept abreast of what's going on.
Yeah.
Sure. And Cassie, yep.
And Kathy, yeah, so this is what Kathy had printed out, this, just for my board members. This is, just for reference, yesterday.
Yeah, some information that might really help.
These are registers that had not put their trash out, so complaints from those, they just didn't put it out, probably thinking it was a holiday, things like that. Thank you.
The first part is just kind of outlining some of the challenges we've been faced with, primarily as an industry nationwide, with the COVID pandemic, driver shortage, supply chain management with equipment and so forth. But it really boils down to where I cover 4 hauling districts, and for the most part, the other ones had impacts probably about a year and a half ago, where South Valley just probably, last 9 months?
Yeah, so I oversee the trash collection for central and western Massachusetts. So I go as far east as Wayland, Mass, and then as far west as Long Meadow, and basically up to the Berkshires. Like that's like kind of my work, right? So we went through, in my central Mass site, we went through a massive staffing shortage, like July, August of last year, and it just kind of moved west, right? So it started hitting here towards the end of the year, and then is carried over a little bit into this year. But we're hiring. Just some of the things we're trying to do. Roy put a whole thing together, but I can tell you, right, I'm boots on the ground, so I can tell you exactly what I do. And if you want, we can get into kind of more specifics about what happened, at the end of last year and everything. But as far as trying to drum up drivers, right, so we have a $7,500 sign-on bonus. We have a $7,500 employee referral bonus. I am actually paying for CDL licenses now. There's a nationwide CDL driver shortage. It's been kind of in the making for about 10 years now, and it really kind of came to a crest with COVID. So I'm actually paying, which is, about $10,000 just for the licensing and the testing and all that stuff, not to mention the hours and the money that goes into training a new driver. So pretty much pulling out all the stops, and I'm actually, instead of trying to look for experienced guys, I'm trying to create my own. So we have a driver apprentice program. That's where we pay for the licenses, so on and so forth. And throughout all this, even though there's a driver shortage, we still have rules, policies, and procedures at Waste Management. Obviously, one of the most key ones is attendance. Then that's basically right after safety, right? Safety's the top top rule, and then after that, right, with drivers, it's attendance. You gotta come to work, because we have, we provide a service, people pay a lot of money for a service, be it a municipality, or a commercial entity, or, manufacturing plant, right? So, your longtime driver, for whatever reason, just stopped coming to work. So he was subject to the Waste Management's attendance policy, which finally, culminated with his termination in November.
And that's where you'll look in there, you'll see the spike in your missed pickup calls. I gave you a report that shows 2018, 19, 20, 21. You see the end of 21 goes up in November and December.
And that was really when we had to separate from this driver. And to be honest with you, we gave him more than enough chances. I was actually, a little lenient. Probably should have been gone in the summertime, but we were trying to kind of work with him, coach him, and correct his behavior. But it didn't work out. He didn't want to be a part of it. He didn't want to help himself, his own case. So anyway, that is what it is. So in the meantime, again, right, if we say I hire a new driver, even if it's somebody with a CDL right off the street, you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks is what training takes. I know people think it's just driving a truck and tossing trash, but the trucks are very complicated, probably more complicated than they really need to be, but they are nowadays. You drive from the right side, which is not a natural thing for people in the United States, because we drive on the left side of the vehicle. All sorts of nuances, and it's a big vehicle. It's a 60, 70,000 pound truck, so it's not something you can really toy around with, because it can cause a lot of damage. So you're looking at a solid just about 2 months, really, to get somebody who's never done trash before up to speed. So what you're going to see is, like December, when we had to replace the former driver, like mid-November, December, I was basically throwing everything but the kitchen sink. I was having guys who don't even do residential, but they have CDLs, and they're qualified to drive the truck with extra labor. Throw a helper out there. We throw like a traditional rear load truck, which you don't really see nowadays anymore, right? Your trucks are co-collectors. It's one man, one truck, and the body's split down the middle, so you can throw trash on one side, recycling on the other, so you don't have to do it, with a shaker on the back anymore. But I was actually having to do that, right? Because we didn't have a qualified one man, one truck driver, so I was using more conventional driver teams to get things done, running the route twice, right? Because we can't mix commodities, obviously, so they go through town to pick up the trash, and then they go through town to pick up the recycling on a given route day. So we were pulling out all the stops. Anything I could think of. I was having drivers from my Central Mass site were coming out. They don't really know the town, but again, they're qualified drivers. A lot of them do one man, one truck routes in Central Mass, so it's more just an area knowledge thing, where we give them a map. They're in constant contact with us back at base to try to navigate through town. So it was really just trying to focus on whatever we could do to pick up the trash. And it did lead, obviously, it led to some issues. I can tell you a natural habit for a lot of people is, right, so if I come to your house, right, usually I'm there every Monday at 9:30 in the morning, but now it's 11 o'clock, and you haven't come to my house, I haven't come to your house yet to pick up the trash, so you're like, well, where's the trash guy? He must have missed me. So calls would generate that way. Or
the other way around,
where,
somebody's
like, at 9 o'clock, so you put your trash out at 8:45. Well, the problem is that, I'm not too familiar, maybe I got off route a little bit, so I picked up your street at 8:30. Right, so I was already there, and you didn't bring your trash out yet. So then you call it in because we must have missed you, because you didn't know. And you'll see a lot of that too, right? If you have a long stretch of road and only one house is missed, I'm not gonna say that the drivers don't occasionally miss one, but more times than not, it's that person didn't put it out. So that's what you're seeing, like the call-ins. So what I did was to try to curb some things in January, was I set up a dedicated line. We have an internal function where I can set up a dedicated call-in line for the driver. So it goes to an automated mailbox in Foxborough, Mass, which is where our corporate office is and our dispatch team's out of. And at the end of every day, so the driver can just call in. So that's what you're seeing there, right? So the driver called in, 235, 233, bachelor, right? They're not out. So that we have a running record. And he's calling, and we can GPS him from in front of those homes. So we know that, right? He's in front of the house, he makes a call, nobody's out. So we have a record of it, we cross-reference it with the GPS in the truck to determine that he was there at that time and made the call. And I can say I did ring, and I'm sorry, I only brought one copy, but if you guys want to take a look. So this is actually, we started this on January 28th. I installed this on January 28th. And this is every day that something's been called in since then with the date is highlighted. So you can, and it's on the back side as well. Pages are two-sided, but you can see like how many not outs there are, right? So, and again, that's more to, so when, you know, Kathy or Chris are getting calls, they have some backup to say, hey,
They weren't
listen,
there. We didn't
yeah,
have it out.
you didn't have it out, right?
So is that the responsibility of the resident, regardless if they're used to being picked up at 3 o'clock or if their trash is usually picked up at 7? Everyone's trash is to be out at 7 a.m.
And we did make.
We did make that all
on
count.
them when asked.
And
Yep, we did.
I appreciate that, but.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm not putting this on Granby, this is every municipality we have. When we have a new driver, and the driver may start the route in one section of town and do it like a certain way.
So that leads me to this question.
Go ahead.
How many complaints are you getting from your other communities?
Not many.
Well, if I
Why
could-
would ours be
well,
different?
If I could go back, so I get more complaints, right? So we have not had, in the other municipalities that the South Hadley location handles, we have had some driver turnover, particularly in Long Meadow, and I can tell you that occurred August, September of 2021, and same thing, because we're trying to get new people out there, we're trying to get people used to the routes. So it is not unique to Granby. I can tell you in my Central Mass site, we had tons of issues because at my high point, I was down 10 drivers in Central Mass out of 56. So I had, out of 56 routes, I had 10 of them that I had to scramble for every single day to try to get out. And I handled 5 municipalities in Central Massachusetts. So it's not unique to Granby by any means. It's just a timing thing, right? So Long Meadow, right, Central Mass happened and it went west. It ended up happening in Long Meadow before it happened in Granby, as far as the driver turnover and trying to get guys up to speed and everything else. It's just, all this is solely timing as far as why it happened in Granby when it did. But it's not unique to Granby in any way, shape, or form. And it's not, if I could, it's not just waste management either. And I'm not knocking a competitor. We're all in this together. It's kind of, it's a small industry, even though it's a big industry. I know a lot of people at competitors. We talk, my counterparts. You know, there are other haulers that go weeks and weeks and weeks without picking up municipalities. So you've never gone weeks and weeks and weeks. Yes, there have been some issues and some misses, but you've never not been serviced.
I beg to differ. This building right here has gone weeks without being picked up.
So this building in particular, the senior center, yes, I will say that, but I'm talking entire towns. There are entire towns that other haulers are picking, they're supposed to pick up. They don't pick up the entire town,
Well-
not just the specific stuff.
Well, we're
I
not
know-
dealing
I
with
know-
other towns. We're dealing with-
I totally understand. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what's going on in the industry right now, right? And I realize that this is Granby, and you guys really only care about Granby, which, again, I totally understand that. So your new driver, he was one of those candidates I talked about that I paid for his CDL. At the time, he was actually training in Ludlow to learn how to use the truck and everything. Then when things were not looking good with your former driver, we switched him over to finish his training and then ultimately obtain his CDL with the Granby driver. Things just weren't clicking for him, so basically right after I implemented that on January 28th, I actually have a 20-year driver, and he is what we call a swing driver, right? He knows all the routes, so he's vacation coverage, workers' comp, so he knows the town. So what I did was, thankfully we didn't have any comp, and this time of year we don't have a lot of vacations, so I actually put him in the truck with your new driver. He knows the town sideways, frontways, backwards, so I've actually had him out with your new driver for the last 3+ weeks.
You'll see that February's numbers dropped off from January's because of the guy who knows what's going on.
This here is good, but I have nothing to compare to. How do I know half these people on this list don't put out the trash every week? I know there's people that don't put out the trash every week. They may do it every other week just because,
Sure.
you know, whatever reasons, they're not allowed trash or they're on vacation, something like
What that's
that.
for is if the resident calls in to Kathy and says, you didn't get me, she could look at it and say, look at it.
Oh, okay.
And prevent her from calling us and saying,
Okay.
it was a miss. Because there's two things, I mean,
That makes
because if
sense,
it's not out, if I don't know,
Yeah.
or if it's not out on time, those aren't really considered misses. If the resident has it out at 7 o'clock, and the driver goes down the street,
Right.
and he goes by it, and he doesn't write it down as a not out, we're responsible to go back and get it.
Correct.
It has been a lot quieter the last couple of weeks. But the phone calls that we usually get here are ones, because as soon as I call, we tell them, have you called the 800 number? And if not,
Please do.
But then we get them calling back saying, I called the 800 number. I talked, they're either not picking up, or I talked to 2 different people, 2 different days, giving me 2 different tickets, and it's still not being picked up.
Okay.
That's when I usually
Send it to.
send it to you guys. You know, the everyday thing, when there's
Yeah.
somebody, and that's definitely helpful for both Dale and I. But we have not gotten any calls. I mean, I thought maybe for sure yesterday, but a couple of times, holidays and everything, we've not received any calls to say that no one picked up their trash. Everybody's pretty good. We've had a couple of, as you know, where Hilltop,
Yes.
that's been a big one, and then 48 Lyman Street was another, and several on Carver. But I have to say, Mike, when I've gone back and forth, has been really good, and so was Chris, when Mike was on vacation. But the biggest ones are people complaining that they have called the 800 number, and they said you're gonna come pick up the trash because you missed it or whatever, and then no one does.
Okay.
And that's when I end up letting you guys.
Sure, which you should. So, all right, so it sounds like we have like an internal process we gotta get with our dispatch folks, because
Is it their complaint that they're calling in and then they're not getting a response, or they're calling?
It's either or. One is that they're calling, and they've got somebody, I gotta go pick it, they give them the ticket, and they wait, and it's not picked up. They call again, they get another ticket, and no one picks up. Or, of course, we get a lot of times that no one picks up.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an option on phone, and I'll check tomorrow, that if the wait time, because what happens if the wait time exceeds, going to be exceeding, I think it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They leave their name and information, they'll get a call back. And it's
See,
generally.
we have not heard that at all.
Yeah, so if there's an option on there where they can leave their name and number, and
Okay.
a call center representative, rather than keeping them on hold.
Right.
They leave their name, their number, and then they'll call them back and take all the information from them, so they can go back to doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
They will.
Like I said, I don't usually, the first thing we do is have you call the 800.
Yep, and that's the right thing to do.
I wait, and then we get the argument about, well, we shouldn't have to. But anyways, that's another.
Yeah. Where's on your site as far as quote to that there's a mispickup? Is the number to call the town, or is it to call Waste Management?
It's both of them are on there.
Yeah.
Under the trash and recycling, yeah. Because I believe that was what was put on the original paperwork
Yeah.
that we had. That plus they feel that they're paying their taxes, so that we should be taken care of.
Okay.
What is the 800 number?
Good question. Was the guy calling? Yeah.
1-800-972-4545.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dale doesn't use it often, do you, Dale?
4545.
Thank you.
I guess the biggest thing I look at really, or one of the biggest things, is communication.
Yes.
You know, that's the biggest thing. I mean, and I get it with the industry and everything that's going on with COVID, and, you know, people are struggling with staffing issues, drivers, as you mentioned, equipment and stuff like that. Reality is, we're paying for a service.
Sure.
So that's where the frustration comes from the town, is that if we're paying for a service, and we're not getting the service at the level that we should be getting it, that's a concern. And that's a concern for the residents, because legitimately, they're paying for that service.
Agreed.
You know, so a big thing, like you said, to me, is communication. You know, if you were having problems several months ago, this is the first time we're hearing about it.
Yeah, there was one
You know,
restaurant back in the end of early January, or December, when Chris wanted to meet with early January. I kind of gave an outline of everything that's going on.
And, I mean, we're not asking about your personnel or anything like that, issues internally, but you could, let's say, we're struggling right now, we're having some staffing issues, please bear with us for a little bit, we're trying to get things under control. And then that's, at least that's information we can give back to our residents.
Sure.
And that we have no information to give them at all, is that, you know, people said they're putting the trash out.
Yep.
You know, it's out there all day, it doesn't get picked up, the animals come out, they tear it apart, now they're out there in the morning cleaning it back up. You know, so that's the frustration, you know, and like, that people have, you know, and, you know, some of the people I talk to, you know, it's where the street wasn't picked up at all. And then they came the following day to pick it up. But however, no one knew that, and, you know, obviously we're in a town with a lot of animals and stuff at night, and,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
I apologize. So, yeah, so with this, we call it a tag list
yep,
internally, right? So, but with the tag list will now come, so if, whatever, say a truck breaks down with an hour left on the route, right, and has to get towed back to the shop, fixed, which typically, like if there's a street left at the end of the day, that's typically what happens. It's either a question of the truck broke down, had some kind of mechanical issue, or the driver ran out of DOT hours, right? Because the DOT says they can only drive X number of 11 hours a day. It's the top that they can drive. So, but part of this process will be, so here's the tag list and whatever, bachelor, so-and-so, 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 was not recovered today, will be recovered first thing tomorrow before starting that day's route.
And Mike has given those to me, and as soon as I come in, I put them on. I don't know if there's a way, but usually, again, even with him, he's doing it at 5 o'clock the next morning, which of course, people are complaining, I should have done the night before.
Right, it's
I
after
don't know
the
how
fact.
to
So
fix that problem.
This is sent at the end of the day now.
Oh, okay,
So
so
our-
I can,
our-
all right, I'll do it
Yes,
from home.
because that was also kind of
Okay.
a pet
Right.
peeve that I had was, so Mike, the route manager, she's talking to one of my managers, so he starts at 3 in the morning. So by 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, like he's already home in bed, getting ready for the next day. So obviously that was a breakdown on our part. So that's why this is now sent from our dispatch folks every afternoon at the end of route. So right, it's already, before we even got here tonight, it had already been sent out by our dispatch team to
Yes.
Right.
to catch this, right? So that's just something, again, probably too little too late. But I just don't want you to think we weren't communicating. There was communication in December. So Roy was communicating with that. So where that went, I don't know.
But as far as staffing
issues and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Not that it deflects the blame or anything. but
No, it
just want you to
doesn't.
understand what we're going through.
because we should have started this.
But no, and I get that, but the bottom line is, we're paying for a service.
Yes.
And that's regardless if people have staffing issues or, truck issues or equipment issues, whatever it may be. When you're paying for a service, you're expecting a service. That's
Sure.
what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
Sure, yeah.
So what's your policy and procedures if somebody missed and they don't get it out, that you don't pick it up that week, or they didn't bring it out? Now they're gonna have 2 weeks worth of garbage picked up. Do you guys pick it up even though it's over the 2 bag or the 1 barrel, 32 gallon barrel limit?
Yes.
You will pick that up if
And we
that
will.
happens.
Where we run into issues is the recycling. Right, because we
Right,
don't want
'cause it
we don't want to
changes
mix.
week to week.
Because it changes week to week, right?
Right.
So that is where we run into an issue. But,
Oh, because people leave out the
right, so if
paper when it
they-
goes plastic.
right, if they miss paper week, now they're trying to put paper out with bottles and cans, we can't mix it, right? I mean, that's.
Right,
No,
yeah.
and that's not your problem. That's
Right.
the people putting it out there. That's the
That's
issue.
a poop on their part.
But I can tell you, there have been some that have been called in even, recently, that they'll call into customer
As
service.
a miss, it's because we threw on material out the curb.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just talking like generally, right? Like, so if somebody wasn't out, driver calls it in, not out from that residence, and then that resident calls in and says, well, I had a doctor's appointment first thing this morning, I slipped my mind, can you come back get it? We'll go back. Right, it's not like we're, try to work as best we can, but, you can see on some of these days, you've got 50 or 60 people that aren't putting it out on a single day's route. So, we can't go back for all of them. But right, if a customer calls in, they have an issue, we'll go back. But yeah, look, typically, yes, if they are late putting it out, but they put it out on time the next week, we'll take the trash. The recycling is where we get into a pickle.
Well, the recycling is all, sorry, go ahead.
Do you come back the next day if they didn't bring it out that day?
No.
To go out around, so
Next
they gotta
Saturday.
wait for another week?
Next service then.
That's just for them?
That's just,
Listening, but-
yes, for the people who are called in not out, because if you think about it, like I said, some of these, there's 60.
And that's anywhere. That's not just us. That's
No, it is.
That's any city, town. You don't, if
It's-
you transfer out, they don't come back.
Exactly, because if you think about it, right, if we spent time going to another day's route, perhaps in a different part of town for 60 or 70 houses that didn't put it out the previous day, we'd never get the current
We finished
day's.
the rate, that day's road.
Yeah, so I think this is very helpful, so when someone calls in, Kathy can verify, well, when the truck came by, it says your trash wasn't out. So if that becomes, saying, well, my trash was out, then that's something we'll have to resolve. But it gives a quick reference to Kathy or Chris to look at the data to see, okay, well, the trash wasn't out on time, that's what the driver said, and, like you said, hey, it happens sometimes, the driver may go by a house, somehow miss the trash, but that doesn't happen that often, I would imagine.
Yeah, the question would be asked if they say it was out at 7?
Well, I think that's the important part for us, is to make sure that everybody realizes that the time for trash to get out is 7 o'clock, because, like you said, you may change up the route, they may hit this street first, and then, that used to be at like 9 o'clock, and that people aren't ready for it, yeah, I get that.
Not so much this time of year, but right in the summer, that's when your paving happens, your tree work, the cable company's out, the electric company's out, so yeah, they might have to skip a whole street and come back later.
Or like you said, you could be short-handed, you have someone else covering, and they're coming to try and do,
It's entirely possible.
two areas at the same
Hopefully not.
time. No, but,
So that leads me to this question, and it involves trash and recycling, actually. Some of the complaints that we have gotten is that trash has been tagged with overweight. So I'm asking how that is gauged, because we've then had residents with that bright green sticker stick it on a scale, and it is clearly not overweight. I understand that we don't have the toters, so it is definitely a lift and throw kind of thing. It's not like we can dump it that way. How are you gauging, how are the drivers gauging what the weight is?
So most of it is by feel, right? A lot of these guys have been doing it for a long time. Like, again, the 20-year driver that I have in town right now training your new driver. He knows what an overweight bag is, and I can tell you he probably throws more overweight bags than he should. It is kind of subjective. I can tell you that I have actually bought hand scales, like a fish scale, right? So I actually gave drivers those, because I'm not gonna lie, I had questions about some guys, not necessarily in Granby, but just in general. So yes, mistakes could be made. Another thing that has happened is people lighten bags, and then they weigh them and take a picture of them on the scale.
No, I can tell you it wasn't happening with the
So,
person.
I'm just saying, in general, right, there are things that happen, but it's subjective. And if it's a case of, again, if it's a hard dispute, then we gotta go back and get it. You know what I mean? It's something we talk to the driver about and say, listen, was it really, was it not? Try to do our best kind of investigation. But what I will do too, a lot of times, with conflicts about bag weight, I'll send a manager out there to pick up a truck. Right, and that's really kind of like both my managers in South Hadley have been, they're 20, approaching 30-year guys, so they've been throwing trash a long time. So, and I let them make the call. Right, so they go out there, and if it's heavy, and they're like, yeah, no, it's definitely overweight, then it is. And if it's not, then it's their responsibility to coach their drivers on, listen, it's not really overweight, I went out and picked it up, and, 60 years old and you're 25 years old, so pick up the trash.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I think your contract is 35 pounds, does that sound right?
40.
40
So it's 40 pounds, it's
40 is the
35
most
gallons.
common, but
Yeah.
for some reason I thought it was at 35.
No, it's 40
I don't
pounds.
know. You gotta be pretty good to tell the difference between a 40-pound bag and a
35 pound bag.
a 35 or even a 48-pound bag. I mean,
Sure.
that's, it's,
Realistically,
it's just a point I'm making that I would imagine it's gotta be very noticeable when you pick it up that it's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, there's difference between, 55 pounds and 40 pounds. You notice that difference, but I can't see someone really noticing the difference up to 10 pounds too much.
you're right.
Especially you just grabbing it and swinging it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, no, you're right. And again, there's, obviously, I'm not gonna say that there's not instances, but again, if it's something that's super, questionable, yeah, I'll just send one of the managers out there to go investigate, go, pick it up, see what you think, and then go from there.
And obviously, there's a lot of good service that you are providing to, obviously, we're not here just to, acknowledge the issues that we're having. There's a lot of good work going on from your company, and I can speak to it for myself. My trash is all getting picked up, and I think you do a halfway decent job all the time, but it's when people, again, when you're paying for a service and that service isn't provided, correctly, there's an issue.
Sure. No, agreed. And listen, we value our partnership with the town.
Immensely.
Very, very much. So again, with the tag list and some of the things we've rolled out, again, giving, your new driver some additional training, which, was obviously needed because, again, in February, I don't believe it's been overly rampant with Collins as compared to, like, say, January or December. So,
Well, it's good to see that, again, not to interrupt you, sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
But well, especially you're making steps to kind of rectify any issues that we're having.
Yeah, and
so.
some of these are really costly on our part, but
Yeah.
again, we understand it's something we have to do. To have that extra labor out there is what?
It's $370 a day
A day.
to have
That work,
that extra
want to make sure
training.
that this driver understands what he's doing, what he's not doing correctly into training, right? So we're trying to take all the steps regardless of the cost to make sure we try to put our best foot forward and get the job done. So we're not sitting behind the scene going, ignore it, it'll go away. We don't think that way, right? We're trying to take proactive steps. We went ahead, like in the 28th, started generating this report for the town, right? The one I sent you with the missed pickup report, there's some other information on there, your tonnage reports are on there, but I can email that to you. It comes out monthly, I can email it to the board, I can email it to Kathy.
That would be helpful. That would be great.
There's a lot of good information on there, right?
Yeah.
It has, you can look at your missed pickups and say, oh my God, this has really come down, or we're starting to come up, we can have a meeting or another discussion. Has your tonnage, you can look at your tonnages, you can see if those are going up, right? More tons at the curb, and more, whether it's trash recycling, there's more hours on the street for the drivers too, right? So, and it's obviously more costly for you when you guys pay for your disposal every month, so. But that's information you can look at as well. There's a couple of other things on there, but the report's got a bunch of tabs on the bottom. I can send it to you once a month. You can look at it. You guys can do an evaluation. If you have questions, you can do a Zoom meeting or back out and talk. But I think you'll see improvement.
The only other big thing is the cardboard.
I was gonna say that, people complain that they cut it up, but it hasn't been taken.
And it still hasn't been taken, even though we're putting it in boxes, it's, they.
30 inches.
They leave that.
So it's,
Again, subjective?
well, so there's one caveat to that, right? So cardboard's, is it 30, is it 3 feet by 3 feet?
3 by 3.
Yeah, so it's 3 by 3, which the singular pieces need to be 3 by 3, but what you'll see is people will take 3 by 3 cardboard and then put it in a 55-inch TV box. That's a no-go.
Well,
So if we took a
not
three
too
by-
sure about that being a no-go.
What is it subjective to 3 by 3? Why was that number?
Because
Is it something about
It's gotta
recycling?
it's gotta be able to fit into the hopper in the truck.
In the
Right,
truck?
it's a
Yeah, so
shallow.
if somebody takes a bunch of them, they tie them together, yes, to be able to fit inside
Yeah.
the door without taking them apart. And
Oh,
these
yeah.
guys are working in fractions per second when they're trying to get their job done. So
Right. So where we see a lot of issues though is if it's 3 by 3, then it's packed into a bigger box than 3 by 3.
The box doesn't fit in the truck.
Correct, like the 55-inch TV box isn't going to
Yeah.
fit in there. Now, one thing I have told the guys is that if the stuff inside the box is cut up, then leave a 55-inch box. Right, tag the box,
take everything else.
take everything else, so, which is new, because we haven't actually done that. It's
It
not-
just slows them down, right?
Right, because again, you're talking about, fractions of a second where we're starting to get down, but the size of the cardboard has to do with how it can physically fit in the truck, because unlike your conventional rear load truck where it's got a big open hopper in the back, where you have couches in there, right?
Yeah.
It's huge. These side load trucks, the space to actually put the material is very small in comparison. So the 3 by 3 is about max size. I have other municipalities that's 2 by 2.
2 by 2.
So, but there have been cases, I can tell you, where guys are, even though the 3 by 3 stuff or smaller is in the bigger box, they're leaving all of it. I told them you can't do that.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's not something that they actually do. We actually, other municipalities, we do leave it.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I mean, there's an educational piece on our end to make sure that the residents realize that too, that, even the container that it's in, whether it's a plastic container or a trash barrel or another box, that box can't be any larger than 3 by 3 as well.
Right. Yeah, and the tags aren't meant to be like a punishment, but they're really meant to be an educational piece. So they look at it and go, oh, I did this wrong, it's too large, or this material that's in your recyclables is not considered recyclable, right? There's always people who think they're doing the right thing, and they're not intentionally, but if they have something that's not really recyclable, something that's considered to go to the MRF, they'll tag it, and generally, if they don't have to reach into a container, we're putting their hands at risk of getting poked or shot, cut with something. If it's on the top, they'll tag that, take the rest. But it's really not meant to be a punishment to the resident, it's just meant
No.
to let them know that this
It's a notification.
acceptable and change their habits.
Yeah, just a notification that it didn't meet the
Exactly.
requirements.
Yeah.
Correct.
Why is the driver's the one that gets out, picks up the trash and throws it in there?
One man, one truck.
One year, one truck, except for during this,
Well, except for during the training right now. We've got two men and one man truck.
but once he's by himself, he'll be one man, one truck.
Does it help having two in the truck? Like the
Now,
old days?
with the style of truck that the town elected to go with the contract, it's called a manual side load. So when the driver's on a route, he drives from the right side. It's a low entry cab, so it's literally, the cab is just inches off the ground.
Yeah.
And then the hopper's like right there, right? So he's ideally, when you pull up, you step out, your material's right here, and you're literally just tossing it basically right behind the cab.
Yeah.
The hopper's like right behind the cab. So it's meant to be more efficient and, right, take labor off the street. We can make contracts cheaper because we're not doing the old school, because if you think about it, if we did, right, you have one man, one truck doing the entire town 5 days a week. In the old days, it would have been 4 employees, 2 trucks, 5 days a week. One would have to pick up one commodity, one would have to pick up the other.
Cost prohibitive.
Which, would be tremendously cost prohibitive.
All right, just be aware, bear seasons, they're waking up, so people will leave it out.
Yep.
I was a victim of that a lot.
Really?
Somebody else I know's trash is 50 feet up, that they don't hit that damn trash.
They don't touch mine.
So
I'm gonna train them.
we'll make sure we don't leave anything at the curb.
All right, thank you. I don't have anything else.
No, definitely, we appreciate you taking the time to come in here and
Anytime.
speaking to us and educating us a little bit on it, but also listen to the concerns that we have for our town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I think you pointed out earlier that communication is probably the key, right? I think if
Yeah.
we continue to communicate on any type of changes that we see coming or things that are going on, just so you guys have a, notice up front, so you know when something happens, and then you can talk to the residents, say, this is what's going on, and relay that
Right.
message. I think if we had done that earlier on, I don't think we'd be sitting here today.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I don't know if you do, I know you don't,
Well,
but I also have private pickup. So it was very disheartening to see the residents complaining about their pickup because my private pickup is perfect. We never had a problem with our Monday pickup. So I had a hard time understanding why everybody was complaining about service levels. So if we could kind of give the same service to both your private and your municipalities, that would be perfect.
That's our goal. Oh, that's our goal. Yeah, your private subscription driver,
Yes.
he's a 40-year employee. that
Yeah.
Doesn't ever miss work.
No, he
No,
doesn't.
never.
He's-
Well, it probably has X amount of stops, not a,
Well, so actually, no, so that's the thing. So he's not just doing Granby, right?
He does all over.
no, and I get that, but it's a set stops, what I mean, so it's a little different than, you're not going up and down the street, you
Sure.
have particular
Yep.
areas you're
Yes,
going
it's
to.
certain stops in town, but he'll do 5 towns in a day.
Right.
With that.
So I would love to see the rest of our residents have the same level of service that we have
Absolutely.
with our private
Yeah.
pickup.
That's the goal.
Again, that's what we're paying for,
Yeah.
so that's what we
If you think
expect.
about it, we started this contract in 2018, right? This is the first time we've had the city funding, right? So I think up till the pandemic, and the reason you guys extended the contract.
Was because we were happy.
Because of certain things were good,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I'm not going to blame her because everybody has to deal with the pandemic, but it certainly threw us all for a loop and things that we just weren't used to, right? Things came out as costs and labor shortages and having a truck that normally we could bring in the shop and repair that night and on the road the next day and we're sitting in the backyard for weeks, right? Because we're
Right up
supply
part,
chain,
yeah,
we
yeah,
can't get
yeah.
apart. And we're doing whatever we can. It may seem seamless to you guys, but behind the scenes, these guys do a lot just to get what they're getting done. So, and we apologize for the inconvenience it caused you, but we will work on it and we try to correct it.
And as long as we can keep that open communication, I think
Definitely.
we'll be able to understand and explain and deal with quicker, because I think some of the problem was these issues have been festering.
Sure. Yeah, no, totally understandable. And again, the ultimate success or failure of that site falls on me, so, I'll take that one. That's on me.
Well, I thank you,
Thank
gentlemen,
you,
for
guys.
coming in.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Brian, just push the chairs back
Yeah, yeah, no
and
problem.
hang it out for a minute. I think somebody else might want to address you in the audience.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye, Lou.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you, Matt. All right, hey.
Moving in the back, I think might want.
That's Dale.
Oh, that's Dale?
That's Dale. Dale snuck in.
Okay. No wonder you knew what it was all about. Well, thank you, guys.
Matt, you don't need to stay. You can go.
Sure.
Yep, you're good. Thank you.
Have we seen a change in our tonnage? Have we seen a change in
All right, I guess we clearly have no citizen participation,
First, get out, I didn't walk through, so you should the other question.
so we'll just wait for Kathy and Dufresne Rentals.
Ready for Dufresne?
We're ready for Dufresne Rentals.
Okay, I have one at this point. It's on May 29th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's a Jack and Jill, the large pavilion in Gazebo. And at this point, the chief and I have looked at it, and we're okay with the permit, but not yet for the liquor, because I have not applied.
Okay,
It says moderation, so we still. want-
7 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
Yes, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
well, that involves a lot of setup.
It's a long day.
That involves a lot of setup and takedown.
Yeah, I imagine so.
So we'll keep you informed once we, about the alcohol part of it. And the only other first correspondence, I had the Pathfinder Regional District Community, School Committee wishes to invite the members of the board to its annual budget presentation, which is scheduled in person this year for Wednesday, March 9th at 6:30. The meeting will be held at the Pathfinder Tech Cafeteria, and if attending in person, please RSVP by March 1st. I know that Chris is planning on going. I think we'll talk to Chris also. I don't know if the other two were interested or not.
I'm sorry, Kathy, when was that again?
It is March 9th, Wednesday, March 9th at 6:30.
I won't be here,
Okay. But just throwing it
which
out
we'll
there.
discuss later.
And the other thing I have is a Class 3 license for Suzuki of Western Mass, DBA All Power. Mr. Darcy did put in for both Class 1 and the Class 3, but we spoke with town council, and he really can't, you know, he's out of business and whatever, but there is no reason for him to deny him the Class 3. Because he still, even though he's not open for business, he still has some parts and other things that he still needs to get rid of.
Okay, that was
So-
my question when I saw that come across.
Yes, no, we spoke with town council and the zoning and everything else. So
Okay.
Chris and all felt that the Class 3 would be fine for the board to sign. So if you can make a motion for that one.
Is there a motion?
They'll make a motion for the Class 3 license for All Power.
What is the expiration on that, Kathy?
It's 12/31, but it can be revoked, 2022, but it can be revoked at any.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. And that's all you had for us?
Yeah,
All right, so we'll move on to departmental reports. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Well, I'd like to ask a question on the, you know, her employees, on Jeremy's report. Kathy, do you know anything about those two employees?
I don't know. I know about one.
What is it you asking for?
Jeremy had two
of the
employees
staff
that were,
sustained injuries.
Yeah, they can't discuss that now.
yeah, that's a violation.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I make a motion that we accept the department reports.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have, there's 3 warrants. 2250 is a bills payable warrant dated 11/20/22 for an amount of $799,799.77.
You make it sound so much more than Chris does.
And then I have a warrant 2251, it's a payroll warrant dated February 18th, 2022, in the amount of $448,303.25. And then I have a 2252, which is the payroll maintenance dated February 18th, 2022, in the amount of $369,446.69.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve and sign maintenance forms number 50, 51, and 52.
Discussion?
Well, I'll second his motion.
Oh, sorry. Apparently I want to move this meeting along. All right, we have a second. Now is there discussion? All righty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Okay.
then I have one comment, Vic, and it is for the Friends of the Granby Free Public Library, 297 East State Street, Granby, Mass. And it is good through December 31st, 2022. And as Chris does, I would suggest waiving the fee. And it's a nonprofit for the Free Public Library.
Need a motion?
Sorry, yes, I was writing, my bad. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve and sign the 2022 common vic license from the Friends of Granby Free Public Library, number 22-25.
And waive the fee.
And waive the fee, please.
I'll second the motion.
Now that's been seconded, I didn't forget. Is there any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now to the last item on our agenda, the 202 water main update. So we had met with South Hadley Water Department to see if they were willing to give us water. We had some homework that we needed to do. Based on that homework, my feeling is that project would be dead. Based on what we heard back from the engineering company, in terms of cost, it's expected to be 20 to 25% above what we bid out last time. I don't necessarily feel that a project that costly that benefits such a small population of our town is a feasible idea when we could explore other options that would potentially impact a greater amount of our residents. But that's just me. So as a board, we need to decide if we're going to squash this project and look into other avenues, or if we're going to continue.
No, Jen, I agree 100% with what you just said there. I definitely think, like you said, with the overcost and when we first went into it, I don't think it's feasible. And again, I don't think it benefits enough of the town to spend that amount of money on a project for what we're going to get. I think, back when this first came about, there was a lot of talk that it was going to be able to continue that water line, up 202, to find out that's not the case. So I think, again, it doesn't benefit enough of our town to worth the cost that's associated with it. That's how I deal with it.
No, I agree. And I've been thinking about it. To that end, I realize that water is still a necessary commodity for us. It is something that we do need, and we do need it desperately. Just for reference sake, this building is on a boil order, and it has been on a boil order. More and more wells in town are being affected by various things. I would like to have the board discuss joining the MWRA, explore what it would be to gain water directly from the source, what the cost of a project of that magnitude would be, and I don't want to, let me rephrase, let me stop and back up on that one. I want to contact the MWRA and ask them these questions. Would it be feasible for us to join? What would be the joining costs? What would they be able to provide in terms of topography? What areas are too high? What areas could we not reach? What infrastructure do we need? See if that is an avenue that we could move down. This would not be a quick project. This would be a multi-staged, multi-year project. While I was thinking about that, there are various funding sources due to the Clean Water Act that we could potentially tap into. Hopefully, we will have a planner soon, so that that part of it would be taken off of Chris's plate, our plate, and given to someone who knows the ins and outs of that. But I would like the board to consider looking into other resources to get us water. You may talk amongst yourselves.
I mean, I don't see there's a reason why we shouldn't look at other options. Why not? I mean, that's all we're doing is looking at if that's different options, what's feasible for the town for the future. And you know, if it's something that could work, may work, then that's something to look at. If it's something that may not, then, you know, at least we looked at that. But one thing I look at too is that, is to find out why, you know, a lot of the concerns with people with well water and stuff like that, with maybe their wells could be failing in the future. I think we need to address that. What's the reason behind that? Why is that happening? Is there something that's causing that to happen? You know, I look at that too, or if there's a reason why that's happening, is it because of septic systems or something like that? You know, then what else do we need to look at?
No, I agree with you, Glenn. I mean, we can speculate what we want on the wells,
Yep.
but it's, you know, anything from high water, like,
Right.
you know, shallow wells, so on and so forth. It's a shame we couldn't get this project going here, but, you know, with the 5-6 month, just get the pipe, this road will be done, and then we're in a moratorium on working on the highway anyhow. So I'm okay with searching out elsewhere.
So,
MWRA is not I mean, the question mark, we gotta look into it.
Right.
that's exactly it. I mean, because I had hopes pinned on being able to get water from District 1, I never thought to actually explore what that would be. And even if it's an option, I don't know how many members they'll accept, because of course they have a finite amount of water as well.
District 1 or District 2, you tell me?
MWRA.
MWRA.
And again, what the infrastructure would be, how do we actually get it to us? You know, those are the questions that I think that we need to answer, because we need it.
So do you want me to email back Jeffrey Sear and say we will not be pursuing this avenue for water at this time?
Yes, I would definitely like, I think a letter should be sent to Mr. Sear and the water commissioners, thanking them. And then explaining that due to constraints, it's just not going to be a feasible project for us. We appreciate the fact that they have gone back and forth with us, but it's not to be. So that being said, we need to return the deposits that have been taken from all of our businesses. So we need to get that back to them and thank them for their patience while we figured this out.
I agree.
Okay, I was not, I was just letting you sign.
I know. Just no one was talking.
Oh, well, I don't need to fill the silence. So that's basically what I have. Does anybody else have anything else? Oh, no, I lied. Wait, I have one more thing. Our next meeting is March 4th. I will not be here. I'm sorry, March 7th. I lied. March 4th is a Friday. March 7th, I will not be here. Do you still want to have our meeting, or would you like to reschedule it?
I would like to reschedule it.
You would like to reschedule
I
it?
think it's beneficial that all three of us are here.
I would agree with that, given that it's a
Absolutely.
known
Especially with the
situation.
stuff we need.
So here is, I need a calendar, not a clock. So I will be back the morning of the 11th, which is a Friday. I don't necessarily know that we want to meet on a Friday.
No, well, just the following Monday.
You want to do back-to-back then, so Valentine's Day?
No.
And then the
March,
21st?
get to March.
Valentine's Day, that's
Oh,
fast.
that's February, sorry.
It does land the same though, because of the way the dates are.
It does, right? And in my defense, I went to bed at
Still not
4
Valentine's
a.m.
Day.
this morning.
You're off a month.
I went to bed at 4 a.m. this morning. I got sucked into Netflix. It was not pretty. So it's still the 14th.
March 14th, 5:30.
Yes, so we'll do 14th and then the 21st.
Works.
Back-to-back works for everybody?
I do want to bring up at our next meeting, I know Chris will be back then, just regards to, I've had a couple of people reach out to me in regards to different types of permits that have been issued in the town, just to make sure that if someone's applying for a permit, whether it's, for a building permit, electrical permit, plumbing permit, that these are being issued and sent back to the people that are requesting them. So I've had a couple people reach out to me just in concerns to that, so I want to make sure that we're doing our part.
Could you say that again?
Where people are applying for, whether it's a building permit or electrical permit, plumbing permit, whatever it may be, and they're waiting for to get back with it. Technically, someone can't start a project
Until they
without
have it.
without the permit, having the permit, so I want to look at that so we make sure that they're being done and going out. Did you have something, Chief?
Well, yeah, because it just made me think of something.
Sorry.
It's the same issue with conservation. The lack of communication back and forth puts delay on people's projects. Only because I'm experiencing it now, and it delayed me by a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the communication is not there, they just assume people know. And now it delayed me a month on my bill, and they only meet once a month.
Yeah.
Well, I think almost every committee in town, because I've been in so many of them, it's usually twice a month. So with this once a month, it again delays people, because the biggest complaint I've been hearing from other people, once you start communicating with the construction world, is their issue is the communication back and forth with conservation is very poor.
I have been on the receiving end of that as well. I would agree. So to your point, that is something that should be discussed.
Right, and again, those are things that I think it's important that we get back to, because those directly impact our residents, and whether, and so that's, and not just that, people that are, people are doing business in our town, to make sure that we're doing our,
I agree. They
we
have
need to
do
make sure we're right.
things in a timely manner, because otherwise the project, all those workers are busy
Yeah,
all the time.
And the more delay, the more money it costs for a project.
Yeah.
well, it does, yep. So, just think that we need to follow up with, some of these, some of the people we appoint, for the inspectors and stuff like that, for the permits, so.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We have control of those things.
Who's the chairman on the conservation committee?
It depends on who you talk to. I would either go with Bill Shaheen or Ed Chapman.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just an easier, or maybe just reach out to Bill or even and Mr. Chaplin. It's the same thing. Okay. I think if people are in need of something, and I'm sure the committee would come together to meet. I know, speaking when I used to be on the planning board, we did meet twice a month. But before I came on the planning board, the planning board used to take the summers off. They wouldn't be around that time of the year unless they had to. But I think it's it's a good thing though if a board needs to meet, if somebody can't wait 3-4 weeks and holds up their project, I think it's important that you reach out to them and see what can be done, because I'm sure the board can bring themselves together to meet, because it is important. Like you said, you miss their meeting by a month, you have to wait another month on a certain project, and it's costly and time consuming.
They're also pretty much the only board that still needs Zoom, which it makes it really difficult.
Really? They were in the building one time when I was downstairs.
One person.
I think Zoom
Oh,
meets
really? One person's there.
Well, yeah, technically Zoom makes it easier.
Zoom makes it easier.
Miss a meeting.
Not when you're trying to, there, you're presenting paperwork
Right.
and whatnot.
And when you have to shuffle it between people, that makes it very
Yeah.
difficult.
Well, if you just make copies, and everybody had it.
They don't pick it
Pick
up,
up.
or they mail, they don't have enough.
I don't have all the answers, Kathy, all right? I have to keep like asking questions.
The other thing that we need to start working on is our lieutenant's contract.
Yes.
He has been questioning me about that,
Okay.
so we've got to get that into the works.
Just start, keep them at a sergeant.
And just
So we should be able to do that next
for Bob
month.
for the next meeting also is, Chris relayed to me about the ARPA funds.
Yes.
He spoke with Tom Scanlon, who's our auditor, and he said we should take the minimum of 1.8 million and put it in a grant account. And Chris and him discussed that, using the monies for capital expenses, so you're one and done. As far as reporting, all these other things, so again, you can think about that for the next meeting, because that will be on there.
Okay.
That discussion.
I got several pages of it. One time.
Email from the school committee too, looking to meet with us and this,
Oh, and the
joint
finance.
meeting.
yeah, joint
Committee.
meeting. So we can come with a day.
I can look it up, hold on, I have it right here. I don't think a date has been picked.
I know they're trying to do it before a certain date,
Yes.
so like if we can, I'd like for us to at least, if we can honor the before they want to get
Before
going.
March 14th is the problem.
Okay.
So
Yeah, vacation to,
I'm on vacation from the 4th to the 11th. So again, we can hold it without
Yeah.
me. I'm not necessary. I mean, I like to think I'm relevant, but I'm not necessary.
well, I think it's more for the finance committee and the school board. I think it's important for us to be there, but I
Correct.
think it's not as important as the finance committee as well,
Great.
so.
That was a sigh, Kathy.
I just realized I was meeting tonight, so.
Okay, so we'll hurry up and wrap up so you can get on to another meeting.
So that's something we probably need to look at,
So yes, okay, so we need to have the finance committee.
when you're leaving?
I leave the 4th. So I leave not this Friday, next Friday.
Okay, so maybe we can connect with the school committee and finance committee and see if there's a date that works next week for the group.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm available.
I'm available
Yeah.
next week.
So we can look at that and,
Yeah, I'm available
okay.
all week. So we'll reach out to the
Well, I'll
finance.
relay that message to the chair that we're all available for next week, so
Okay.
any night will work if they can get the finance committee to commit.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
That'll give us time to post the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, we didn't have time to post the meeting,
Right.
so.
All right.
All right, well, did anybody else have anything?
Nope, that's it.
Nothing?
Nothing?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, now we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Is there anyone not in favor? Ha! All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.